What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we are going to talk about my 5 favorite steels for EDC knives and my 5 favorite steels to recommend to you guys if you are getting into carrying knives, sharpening, all that good stuff. I will preface with the fact that these are not the best steels ever. I am not talking about models. I am literally just talking about the steels. And when we get into the stuff that's like easy to sharpen, I am literally just talking about that. It is quick and easy to sharpen, and that's it. So we're not going to nitpick down in the comments. We're not going to go crazy and, argue things. These are my experiences, and like I said, it doesn't have to do with the model, it just has to do with the steel. So let's go over my 5 favorite EDC steels that I have used thus far. It was a little tricky to put it down to 5, but I think we can handle it. So these are not in any order at all. The first one is MagnaCut. I had a really rocky road with MagnaCut at first. This is a stainless steel. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of stainless steels. However, MagnaCut is ultra stainless and also can get ultra sharp and stay sharp for a long time. The thing that really gives it that sharpness, though, is bumping the heat treat up to like at least 63, preferably 64, 65, but 63 can give you a damn good MagnaCut knife. I love my BGM mini spade here, full flat grounded MagnaCut. This is one of my most reliable knives in my entire collection. Like I said, it has to be heat treated a little higher than a lot of the stuff that gets pumped out. I don't care what you say, that's just facts. It needs to be ground thin and it needs to be heat treated pretty darn high to get the best qualities out of it. But if you can get a MagnaCut knife at like 63 or 64, these will shred for a long time, even with hard use, even with batoning. Yes, I have done all of that. I love a good, high treated, well done MagnaCut. Absolutely love it. And these are all steels that I've tested too, guys, like very thoroughly tested. The second one of my favorites is Crewwear. I love Crewwear. I think it's super toothy. It takes a really wild edge pretty darn quick in comparison to a lot of other steels. Like, it doesn't take that long to sharpen, but it keeps a really toothy, gritty edge for quite some time. It's just a favorite steel of mine that I've had for a really long time. I've always been a fan of Crewwear, whether it's this Spyderco Crewwear or something custom treated from like BGM Knives or something. I've used a good amount of Crewwear, even the Benchmade Crewwear in the Mini Adamas. They were all just incredible steels. This particular knife is one that I was like scraping against metal in an old video that I did, and it was really easy to fix. Crewwear is just an incredible steel if you need edge longevity, but not if you don't quite know how to get like chips out of your blades yet and you're still learning. Crewwear is pretty good because, at least in my experience, mine haven't really been that chippy, so it's just a good steel if you want it to kind of like dent as opposed to chip. And like I said, that's just from my experience. I really like Crewwear. This is probably not a surprise to you guys at all, but number 3 for me is K390. This, honestly, out of all of the steels that I'm going to show and talk about, this is my favorite out of all of them. Like, K390 is my all-time favorite steel. I recently discovered it through my testing this month because I've been testing this. We have the Japanese K390 here from Spyderco. They also do a Golden Colorado USA one, but the Japanese K390 in particular is my favorite steel that I've ever used. It's fairly stain resistant. It hasn't rusted yet. It does have a patina, but in comparison to like M4, it rusts way less than M4 does, but it still has that tooth and that grit and that toughness that M4 has. And I love how sticky this edge gets. This is a knife where I go like days and days and days with hard use cutting, and it just keeps going. And even when it loses its fine edge, the working edge just lasts forever. Like, K390, I cannot emphasize enough how fantastic of a steel this is. If you can get over the fact that it's technically not stainless, you will love it. Like I said, it's more stain resistant and less prone to corrosion than M4, but it still has all of the qualities, if not better qualities than M4, but they're very comparable, and I really, really like K390. But like I said, it's the Spyderco Japanese K390 that's treated a little bit higher than the US stuff. That's what I like. Not as big of a fan of the US stuff, even though it's still good, but like very specifically Japanese K390 from Spyderco is what I'm really a big fan of. Maxamet. This one might throw you guys for a loop here. A lot of people don't like Maxamet. There's rumors from like frickin' 5 years ago that Maxamet is chippy, and even I believed it and thought that it was chippy at first. I think that Spyderco has dialed in a really good heat treat with these, with especially the new ones. If you know how to sharpen, it's not difficult at all, and you have to realize that Maxamet, its fine edge will break down, literally break down into a working edge with tiny microchips that will actually cut forever. I have beaten the shit out of this Maxamet, and it just keeps going. And yes, the working edge will turn into tiny little microchips. Number one, they're not hard to get out, and number two, it actually like you can utilize them as little like catchers almost for material, and it will still shred through, even though it's a kind of like a rough, crude working edge. Maxamet just keeps going forever, guys. It is so incredible. Again, not a stainless steel. It will patina over time. Mine is kind of just like getting some spotting, and it's a little darker than it was when it first got here, but it's not anything crazy at all. I love Maxamet. Like I said, if you know how to sharpen and you don't listen to the ridiculous rumors that this is like impossible to sharpen and that it's super chippy and way too hard and brittle, like please try it, because it's really good, especially if you use your knives for like extended periods of time and you don't want to touch them up for a while. And the last one here is M4. I love M4. This is a steel that I've been using for a really long time, as you can tell. This is like a wicked old school Benchmade mini Griptilian M4 blade that had the coating that you used to be able to like strip off really easy. I got this from the custom shop like as a teenager, like when they first introduced the custom shop, and the coating on these was super easy to strip off with rubbing alcohol and sandpaper. So I did that, and then I obviously caught a patina over time with this. But M4 shreds. This one in particular with this mini grip was more prone to rusting. Like, it does have some rust spots that I don't think the camera will pick up, but it definitely has some rusting, some patina, stuff like that. But M4 is just an absolutely incredible tool steel. It, again, like K390, gets super, super sticky. It's really tough. I absolutely love it. It's one of those steels that, like I said, if you don't like sharpening a ton and maybe you only want to sharpen like once a week with like decent use throughout your week, M4 will do that for you. It'll keep a working edge for a long time, hopefully until you're able to sharpen on the weekend. That's kind of typically what I do. I work all week and I work on the weekends too, but I do like a knife, and I appreciate when a blade will get me through the whole week. And I don't care if it's a working edge, like I don't care if it's not popping hairs, but as long as it can just do what I need it to do until the weekend when I'm able to sharpen, I really appreciate that about a knife, and M4 will absolutely do that for you. It should be able to pull through for your whole work week. One downfall is it can rust pretty easily and pretty quickly, so keep your blade oiled if you're all nutty about that. But this has a little bit of rust on it. I don't care. I don't think it's an issue at all, and I have found it to be fairly easy to sharpen, really easy to sharpen actually, especially Spyderco M4. Insanely easy. I'm talking like a 600 grit DMT stone, like 2 passes and you already have a burr built up. It's pretty crazy. So M4 is an absolute winner if you're able to get into tool steels. Now we're going to talk about my 5 favorite steels that I like to recommend to people who, like I said, are just getting into EDC, just getting into the hobby, maybe starting to learn how to sharpen, and they need something kind of like a little softer, a little more forgiving, and something that will hold an edge, but you don't have to be afraid of like chipping and snapping and breaking, right? Because like we all have seen the horror pictures on Instagram of people, trying to like center their Maxamet PM2 or something, and they do that pivot trick and you're pushing the blade and the blade snaps at this point because it's hardened, so high. Like, we've all seen that, and some people are really afraid of like snapping their blades or chipping huge chunks out of their blades. So we're going to go a little down in heat treat. We're going to go a little more budget friendly right now. I think all of these are stainless. Yes, they are all stainless, so another thing that as a beginner you don't have to worry about. Just all in all, easy experience, easy sharpening, easy everything. Let's get into it. First one that I've been preaching about forever, 154 cm. Really old school, kind of outdated, not used a ton anymore. A lot of companies used to use this as like their entry level budget steel. It's basically gone at this point, aside from Emerson's. Benchmade has moved away from it. A lot of companies have moved away from it and moved on to S30V, S35, S45, stuff like that. But I still feel that 154 has its place in a beginner's catalog, in hard use especially work, because it's so easy to fix and to touch up. Like this knife in particular, literally I can carry a little ceramic rod with me. If this goes dull, maybe 5 passes on a ceramic rod and it's back to like hair shaving sharp. So 154 cm is super easy to maintain. Definitely you can get it really, really sharp, and if you do it the right way, it should cut for a decent amount of time for you. Emerson uses 154 cm for basically all of their stuff, but it's a really good beginner steel and super easy to sharpen. The second one that we're going to talk about, S30V, still used pretty often, but I do think it's going to start getting replaced with things like MagnaCut or S45VN. S30V is one of my favorite steels. It gets really toothy. It's super easy to sharpen. I've only had a couple of S30V blades kind of like chip out on me, but generally speaking, they don't do that. And they last for a really long time. There's a reason that S30V is used in so many different knives for like budget options, because they're cheap and they work. Like S30V knives are really good options. Super, super stainless. Great edge retention. You can, put a toothy or polished edge, whatever you want. Piece of cake to work with. Not too much to say about it. It's awesome. S30V is a really good steel, and it was specifically created for knives, which I think is important. We can get excited about exotic steels all we want, but a lot of them were not created for knives initially. And, S30V, S35VN, S45VN, and MagnaCut have all been specifically created for EDC knives. A lot of these steels are from, factories and aerospace industry and automotive industry. But when you have a steel that had somebody behind it that, created it for this task, there's not too much that can go wrong, right? S35VN is my next choice. This is kind of a step up from S30V in my opinion, especially if you get Spyderco S35VN. This is just a razor of a knife, guys. This steel is incredible. I tested this actual blade for a month, and right now the edge is like so sticky and sharp on it. It's absolutely incredible. I probably didn't even have to sharpen this once throughout my entire testing. I did sharpen it because I think that's a huge, important part of testing something, is also seeing the sharpening experience. But it could have gone the whole month without being touched. And S35VN was, created for pocket knives and EDC knives, and it's just a really, really good stainless steel. It's crazy toothy. I find it to be actually easier for me to sharpen than S30V. Not by like a crazy noticeable amount, but I think that S35 is actually easier than the S30V, but it gets an edge that's just as toothy, if not toothier. It's just kind of like a step up from S30V, and it's really good stuff. We have Spy 27 coming in next, and this is one that I've been testing this month, but we're only a few days away from the review, so I figure I can throw this in here. I feel like I have enough backup facts behind me with almost a month of use. But SPY 27 in my testing has proved to be basically the same as LC 200N. I'm not noticing any differences. It's super stainless. It gets crazy sharp. The sharpening experience with it is insanely fast and easy. It's very forgiving. I whacked it on a metal table the other day, and the edge just kind of like got flat, and it took just seconds to fix. This is an absolutely incredible EDC steel. I don't understand why people don't talk about SPY 27 as much as some of the other offerings out there, but it's essentially LC 200N and easier to get, in my opinion. The LC 200N is really, people get excited about it and they all buy it at once when they drop, and then it's not really available. Whereas the SPY 27, generally speaking, you can go to like a knife online store and find something in SPY 27 steel, whether it's a native 5 lightweight or a Para 3 lightweight or something. But SPY 27 is absolutely incredible. I am obsessed with it. Honestly, out of all of these steels, the ones that I'm recommending to you guys as beginners and as beginning sharpeners, the SPY 27 is probably the one that I would say out of all of them is the best. Like, just get a SPY 27 knife. If you're on the fence and you don't know whether you should do S30V or S35VN, blah, 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 just do SPY 27. It has all of the best aspects of these great entry-level steels, and it's kind of all put together into one steel, and I just don't think you can go wrong with it. And the last one that we have is Nitro-V. Now, Nitro-V is a little more rare, I feel. I don't see it a ton in a lot of like production EDC knives. We've got a couple out there, but not too much. But this is kind of like the higher level of these beginner steels just because of its rarity, and not a ton of people know about Nitro-V. But I have tested the crap out of this BGM Mini Kephart, and Nitro-V is really stainless. It's super easy to sharpen, and it takes a razor edge and holds it for a good amount of time. If you can find something in Nitro-V, especially if you can get it custom heat treated, like John's stuff, don't pass it up. It's really good stuff, and it's great for hard use. The edge lasts forever. I've tried both polished edges and pretty toothy edges with it. Both of them are incredible. It does great with impact testing. Like if you are cutting something and hitting a really hard surface underneath, like this is one that I cut garden roots out with, and I hit a whole bunch of rocks when I was doing that. I completely, it should have destroyed the edge, and it really didn't. It just puts a couple of flat spots on there, and I was amazed. And it could still cut through paper after that, but the edge should have been just like completely annihilated on this Nitro-V, and it wasn't. So that's really impressive to me. I feel like it's again, underrated, not talked about a lot, and it should be talked about more, and it should be used more in production knives, because I think it's kind of above a lot of the ones that we've been talking about. Both of these, Nitro-V, SPY 27, I would love to see more of that in production knives that are coming to us as consumers. We have plenty of S30V and S35VN and S45VN. I would love to see more of this stuff. I think both of these have qualities that kind of outperform those other ones in a few senses, and Nitro-V is just absolutely a beautiful, beautiful steel. So those are some of my favorite ones to recommend to you guys, my favorite ones to use, all tried and true. I've tested all of these for an extended period of time, whether it was the month of testing or a month of testing and then more general use on top of that, but all of these have been tested. I really like all of them. So let me know down in the comments what you guys have for your favorite steels, what you like to sharpen, what you don't like to sharpen. Let me know your experiences down in the comments. We all learn more when we're conversing down there. So as long as you keep it polite, go ahead and do that. But anyway, guys, go use your shit. I will see you on the next video. Love you all.